So, I've been on a journey of sorts. It's a journey of self-discovery. I knew I was going to open it up with something corny.
Yeah, that was corny.
I very strongly believe that I have ADHD. It took me a while to come to that conclusion, and I was always in denial, or I never even really thought about it very much because I've always been a person who used the statement, I have reverse ADHD. And the reason why I said that was because growing up in school, one of my best friends, when I was in the 6th grade, named John, he had ADHD, and I think every day right before we went to lunch, he would have to go to the office and he would have to take his Ritalin. I always thought it was about these unruly people who couldn't kind of sit still, couldn't focus, etc., etc. And I was like, oh, well, I'm the exact opposite of that. I focus more than everyone else. So I used to tell people all the time I have reverse ADHD. Whenever I tend to start doing whatever the things that I'm doing, the rest of the universe disappears, and I believe that I can only focus on that thing. After a while, one day someone started talking to me about hyperfocus. I had never understood what hyperfocus was. So hyperfocus is an intense fixation on an interest or activity for an extended period of time. People who experience hyperfocus often become so engrossed they block out the world around them. Children and adults with ADHD often exhibit hyperfocus when working intently on things that interest them. And that describes my life.
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
All of the people who are close to me, who know me, any of the friends that I've had over the years, they know this about me. Most of the time, I'm not really interested in most things, but whatever I'm interested in, that's the only thing that matters to me. So if today it happens to be, I don't know, fighting games, then it might be that for like a month or two or something, where that's all I talk about.
Hi, would you like to talk to me about dinosaurs? No. Okay, thank you.
And then maybe it might be World of Warcraft for a little bit. And then maybe it might be chess for a little bit. Then it's the Rubik's Cube. And it just moves from thing to thing to thing. And for so many years it was Beat Mania. For a while it was Dance Dance Revolution. I just tend to fixate on whatever it is that I'm doing. I've always looked at it like a superpower. And it served me in a way because I look at myself as a musician. For those of you who know that I play the piano, you know that I do it for a living. I do it at an expert level. What most people might not know is that I was self-taught. I never got lessons. I never was like pushed to learn the piano by everyone around me. It was me. I just decided to learn it. It was something I had a natural proclivity to. I've told the story about how I developed the ability, but I just wanted to do it. And I remember there were times as a young kid where it was all I could think about. It's still one of the things that I think about the most, for sure. Music is always playing in my head. There was points in time where I would get up, touch that piano, and then I would sit on it hours. 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours during like a summer vacation time. Just didn't want to do anything else. That hyper focus always served me because now I'm a professional pianist. I get paid to do what I love doing. I know that that skill came from all of the work, training, discipline, and the practice that I put in. When someone sees me play the piano, I don't look like a person who taught themselves. I look like someone who's been doing classical music for years or who has been playing forever. What I have is I just have this talent that I developed from my training. It was an uncanny ability. Then we fast forward to something like fighting games, right? Where I was playing fighting games for so many years at a competitive level, but I was using a controller because my method for learning fighting games was in training. Whereas everyone else were in these hubs in like New York or in the Midwest, Los Angeles. I'm in the middle of Lancaster playing freaking fighting games against my brother Johan for a while. And then once training mode came out, I'm just doing training mode. So having developed this skill, becoming a training monster, when I start competing in tournaments and things, I am beating people that have been in the scene and they don't know who I am. I've told my fighting game story enough. You guys have seen that. The point is, the reason why I was so good at executing, the reason why nerves didn't seem to impact me as much is because I put so much time in training mode that it didn't matter who I was fighting because the training mode thing is objective. If I get this hit, the combo is the same combo every time. So this trend continued in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where you would see me playing matches. If I dropped a combo, because when I got into League of Legends stuff, I stopped training and things, people were saying, oh, that's a very rare drop for Fanatiq. Because in vanilla, I wasn't really dropping much because I was really accurate. Because I did training mode, I didn't have people to play. Knives would come up on the weekends and we'd play games, but aside from him, it was just me in training, and I could do it for hours. I remember one day waking up and saying, I want to learn the ROM, and I hadn't learned it yet, so I said, I'm going to spend all day ROMing. And I did nothing but the ROM for 8 hours that day. I did like 4 hours, 4.5, maybe 5 hours. And then I watched an episode of Entourage, and then I went back to training and did another 4 hours. That's what I did that day. Like, I'm just going to learn this.
You can just hang outside in the sun all day tossing a ball around, or you can sit at your computer and do something that matters.
to where I felt like I couldn't drop it. So hyperfocus has served me in a lot of ways. When it came to scholastics, once I got a book and I was reading that book, I was engrossed. I wasn't distracted. It just felt like the world opened up in that book, and I'm just reading and I'm taking in the information. So I never studied things like that because it didn't make sense to me. I said all that to say, despite having like this natural proclivity for like learning and this like affection towards learning and all of these things, I had zero discipline. I started learning about executive dysfunction and what that means. Executive dysfunction is used to describe faults or weaknesses in the cognitive process that organizes thoughts and activities, prioritizes tasks, manages time efficiently, and makes decisions. So when I start thinking about like organization is already just that's not my thing. Like it just is not.
What is this? Keep your station clear.
I like an organized mess. I can function very well with an organized mess, but maintaining organization is very, very difficult for me. Always has been. And so I remember how difficult it was for me to like remember things and like manage tasks and things like that. So for instance, I never competed in any sports growing up because I remember, for example, I wanted to do cross country, and to do that, I needed to get the permission slip signed by my parents. I was never going to remember to do that, and so I never did. I never turned in the permission slip, so I never got that. I never got to do it. Sex education came around, and I needed to be able to turn that permission slip in. I never turned it in, so I never did sex education. I remember in the 3rd grade, I had homework to do, and I never ever did the homework. But the way that the homework worked, she wasn't grading the homework. She just wanted to know that you did it. You got like some points for that, but the majority of your points came from actual classwork and tests. So I just learned how to write my mother's signature, and I just did it every single day. And I just wrote her signature, so I didn't have to do homework. The 1st grade where I remember being particularly productive, excelling like I should, was in the 6th grade. I never did homework in the 5th grade. I was always just, whatever, just slacking off and stuff. And when I got into the 6th grade, I had this teacher named Mrs. Updahl. And on our very first day of school, she gave us homework. The very next day, some of us didn't do our homework. And so then she made us all line up by the phone and then individually call our parents and tell them that we didn't do our homework.
I've got my eye on you, Jay Quellen.
So of course I get on the phone, I call my mom and tell her, Mom, I didn't do my homework last night. She says, well, why didn't you do it? I say, I just forgot. She said, okay, let me find out you forgot again and I'll see about you.
I'm watching you.
That was it. From that point on, I did my homework every week in that class, except for there was a current event that we needed to do every week where we had to go read like a news article, and I never did. The reason why it was so easy to manage the work in her class is because she would give you the word, like the words that we would have like 10 spelling words. And so I already knew how to spell all the words, but then we had to make a sentence with the words, and then we had to write each word 3 times each. And we just there was all of these things that we had to do with these 10 words, and that was like 5 of the homework assignments. So on Monday when I got that, I would do it, knock it out, and then I would just be done with my homework. So that was my way of managing it, because the idea of like doing it every day, I wasn't going to. There was just no way.
But I already did something today.
I remember my 5th grade teacher one day, and this is so crazy. I'll never forget it. I did my homework one day in the 5th grade, and it was like such a big deal. I remember I was so excited. I finally did my homework because I always wanted to. I just never could get myself to do it. But this particular day, I did it. And so when we get into class and the next morning, I realized, oh, I forgot it at home. I go to the teacher and I'm like, Mrs. Adolph, I promise you, I did the homework this time. I actually did the homework. Like I did it, but I forgot it at my house. If you give me the assignment right now, I will get it, and I won't miss a single one because I know the answers. I will get them all right now, and I'll do it in less than a minute. And she says, okay, gets the paper out, hands it to me, just get to work, do all the answers, 100%. And then she goes, well, I'm going to give you a C since you didn't bring it in. I just could not remember. First off, I wouldn't remember to do it, or I wouldn't have the discipline to do it. And then when I did actually do it, I didn't remember to bring it in. It was always a problem. Fast forward 7th and 8th grade, I didn't do 7th and 8th grade. That's a whole nother story. My point being, so I'm living my whole life in this way and not understanding what that is. And so when I start getting into League of Legends and we start talking about there's 50 million active League of Legends players, and Zed is one of the like top 10 most popular characters in the game, and I have more ranked Zed games than anyone else in the world on that character, like almost 2 times over during some of these seasons, because once I start playing League of Legends, the rest of the world doesn't exist. Remember in the pop-off, the part where I was talking about like, I don't even leave my house, I don't go to the movies with my family, so on and so forth? The sad part, yeah, that was true, because because once I would be playing the game, that was it. I remember one time doing a jigsaw puzzle with my family, my mom and my dad. They would always get these like jigsaw puzzles together, and we'd be all doing them as a family. And I remember one time we were supposed to go catch a movie, and we started on that puzzle. And then my mom got up. She was like, "All right, I'm gonna start getting ready." I'm like, "Okay." Still working at the puzzle. She going to the door. She was like, "Lauren, are you coming?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm not gonna make this one, Mom." He's like, "Okay." And Johan said, "Yeah, she doesn't know you very well." And it was just that he knows that once I started doing that puzzle, there was no way I was leaving. It didn't matter. I wanted to watch the movie, but the puzzle was right here. It's right in front of me. I used to say I was addicted, but it wasn't that I was addicted. It's just that once I'm into the thing, I'm into the thing, and I don't want to do anything else. I'm focused, and that's all I want to do.
Escape and float into my gentle